a message to Crime Stoppers. As you can see, every doctor and nurse is just set up in each location. From beginning, doctors and nurses' locations of my blood work and urine and all that taken. So, you see all the recent doctors like Dr. King, Kerry Kowalski, if they're forced to switch an eye color or a blood work or urine, it is a bit ridiculous. If I've been proving 10 years that the doctors all the way back in the 1970s, Kaiser Hospital, Walnut Creek, had me in a cage, gave my books to another little girl, switched my eye color from blue to green. And so each hospital employee, I believe, from that point on, is just a setup for CIA, FBI, every one of them. Because if I'm missing from Buckingham Palace, England, and on all these other locations, the German castle, Neuschwanstein, the Ireland palaces, castles, and if there's 7 to 17 Ireland families that want to kill each other and they're all royal, and I've lived in almost every location, it is a setup. You know, and each family is fighting over who lived where and what inherits. I believe everybody ends up with money at the end of this. But if each person just pulls out their photos and, you know, oh, Julie lived with me in this house, you know, I'm Julie. And yes, when my eye color switches to big and blue like it did all day long yesterday or earlier this morning, everyone thinks I'm Brenda, my sister. Okay, Kerry Kowalski, the person who the blood work initially is given to, like, there's a different person that takes my blood, but Kerry Kowalski is a nurse. She does have a baby blue Norma Jean Baker looking eye color, or eye color camera. Sometimes it's got green or yellow in it. So yes, I'm concerned with each doctor and nurse that has ever held my blood work or urine in their hand, or nurses, that they just pick it up and they walk down the hall and it might churn. So as each person's blaming the next, if you're like, I used to be a candy striper, which is a hospital employee, and I'm also missing as a doctor and possibly as a nurse, but I'm missing as a doctor and a nurse in every movie of really getting kidnapped at each hospital location or car accidents or something. And I don't recall being one, but I recall being a candy striper in Bakersfield, California, at a Catholic hospital called Mercy Hospital. And it scares me, and probably my dad, who's still living if he's watching this video, that I used to carry urine all day long at the hospital, because that's what I did. I'd deliver things to whoever, because I was a candy striper. That's a volunteer worker at the hospital. So if I walk up a floor, I'm carrying this lady's urine, and they have a device up, you know, or down below, and I'm just holding the urine. Did I become a different name just walking down the hall? You start to wonder if it's that easy. And then we all just blame each other every minute. You've got the device. You're switching the eye color. You're switching the blood. You know, it might just be that easy for our lives to completely change. I walked the blood work. You know, when I worked at the hospital, it was probably 1980, 1981, or 1979. Carrie, my older sister, was also a candy striper there. But I worked there when Greg McCrite's arm was amputated, or never amputated actually, just went numb from a motorcycle crash, my neighbor. Because Eric used to be my best friend and my boyfriend for a very brief time in my life. And Eric is dead now. When all this started, I called Mrs. McCrite, his mother, Ann McCrite in Bakersfield, who used to own McCrite Modeling Agency, and I've never modeled for her. And I told her that I found out that Eric and I had children, because I just found the in vitro stolen babies. And there were all these handprints of Eric, and she thought I was crazy when I told her I thought he was alive. I think I said that, because he was dead. Now there is an Ann McCrite that I'm identifying in the Norma Jean Baker movie. It's like the Norma Jean Baker story of the lady that runs Norma Jean Baker. Can you investigate? Norma Jean Baker is one of my handprint recognitions. And that there are different McCrite-looking ladies, because Miss McCrite was one of my nicest neighbors that I love dearly. Also, Ron and Donna Pekarovich and their children, Stacy Joy and or Donna Joyanne Long, and Keith, Donna's other son, and neighbors like Ronnie Phillips and Carrie, who's a guy, red-haired. Jay and Janice and Jason and Jill Dune had the old Corvette. It is me. Lee Baca was my neighbor, I believe, or Mr. Baca, a different Baca maybe. He used to live diagonal across the street, down a couple houses down. Mr. Combs lived next door maybe. Okay, so I am that person, if you guys are wondering. It is me. Terry Walton lived a few streets down. Ronnie Phillips lived down. Katie Herndon lived on my... We were a town that all knew each other. So I don't want to be Mrs. Kravitz, the nosy neighbor here. But if people are hijacking people and everybody's attic, which an attic is this little room above our bedrooms. And this world started when I got up into my attic with a ladder and a pot of coffee one day, finding little rooms because I could hear people talking up in my walls. So I photographed or videotaped them and put them on YouTube, on Princess Exile 1 of YouTube, Catch a Caver Live, and Royal Justice. And I am the person that caught the cavers live under my floorboards having sex under my kitchen, electrocuting me to death to fill the sex, laying in the dirt in my clothing. And that was all on YouTube. In fact, they were laying in my long flowered dress that I went to my Barbie or Aunt Katie's wedding in San Diego in, under the floorboards of my kitchen, laying in the dirt having sex. And after I caught that on film, I got kidnapped, told I didn't live there, told I wasn't there, and I'd lived at my house since 2004, so that was about 2009 or 10. I also caught one of my neighbors who had kidnapped my neighbor who chopped up a cat underneath the floorboards with one of the children on video. But of course, yes, the phone got stolen, or I might have dropped coffee and one of them went into a different AT&T store in the Woodman Mall. The problem is once they'd taken me to a hospital and said that I threatened a neighbor, I didn't threaten a neighbor, I had actually videotaped the neighbor. And I was hanging curtains, and they told me I threatened to beat my neighbor with a hammer. And actually, I confronted my neighbor over the fence that he had just chainsawed one of my cats in half. And yes, I didn't see my own house for 8 months after that. Okay, so that's just a bit of information regarding my old situation when I first thought of the title Catch a Caver Live on my Princess Exile 1 show on YouTube. It's because I kept catching the cavers live. And I catch them on satellite. I knew where they worked. I knew their phone numbers, everything. Even their cars, because they'd come out of each location. And yes, I made a mistake of when they shared my Bluetooth. I didn't know what a Bluetooth was. So some of the people just shared my Bluetooth, and they suddenly became members of the Catch a Caver Live group because it showed on the data that they were using my Bluetooth. So they got set up. And it is over the Rod Stewart Lost in You video when I danced there. And it is over the girls that accepted the money. And it is over them switching eye color. And I went down to the Oddball and I let them know that I was the girl in that music video. Because I used to work at the restaurant Country Folks with a K, spelled K-O-U-N-T-R-Y, restaurant as Julie Pointer with Jacqueline Klosky. I haven't seen Jackie Klosky in many years. In fact, she probably still has some of that car wreck money that I got in a car wreck with her. And a little Capri car she used to have. I was the passenger, so maybe Jackie, if you ever get that money that I was the passenger and we went to the lawyer, I'm at 3938 and a quarter West 27th Street in Los Angeles, California, where I was thrown out of the car wearing a leather jacket when we hit a station wagon who was broken down in the stoplight location in the rain.